Digital agriculture, also known as Agri-Tech, the application of technology and digital tools to farming making use of automation, biotechnology, information monitoring, and data analysis to improve farming. As Nigeria struggles to improve food sufficiency and tackle issues of food inflation, experts point to Agri-Tech for improvement of efficiency and increase yields of agricultural produce in a way that will reduce costs and boost sustainability. Our attention on Business Express today is Agri-Tech and alternative farming solutions. Our guest is Mr. Luna Bawa, CEO and co-founder of Every Farmer. It's a pleasure having you on the program.
Thank you very much for having me.
Okay, beautiful. I believe you must have been following a conversation about issues of insecurity that we've been having in some parts of the country that's affecting crop production and, food sufficiency in the country. How do you think this particular Agri-Tech can really help address some of these issues?
Oh, okay. Well, the good thing about technology is that, it gives you the options of collecting data points that you can use to analyze not just the performance of the farm, but also, not just in terms of the farming cycle, but even pre-farming activities. So in terms of issues around insecurity and all of that, I believe that one, the government would have to play a very concise role, an effort towards tackling the issues around insecurity, which has hampered the ability of farmers to actually go to the farm. It has also affected, the ability of Agric-Tech companies to provide some of these services to the farmers. Technology is not going to take away the issue of insecurity without, key players in the sector like government itself driving the efforts towards restoring peace in our farming communities.
But doesn't it bring farming activities closer to one's home? Does it?
Yeah, it does, if we want to look at it that way.
I'm saying it because I've seen in a lot of videos, you see even some farming activities taking place without actually using soil. You see it in solutions and things like that.
Okay, so
that's hydroponic, I think.
Yes, hydroponics and aquaponics are all alternative farming practices, But if you look at the reality on ground, we want to think that about 80% of our farmers are smallholder farmers. And then if you go a little bit deeper, you'd realize that these farmers actually cultivate about 80 to 90% of these farmers cultivate less than 1 hectare, So the reality is that how much can 1 hectare do? So there's the cost factor of acquiring technology, which farmers are not privy to. That is one. The second thing is that when you're looking at bringing alternative farming to these farmers, they don't have the money to be able to pay for it. The farmers' financial cycle, income cycle is periodic. And considering the fact that our farmers depend on rainfall, it makes it a bit challenging because you have one financial cycle in a year for them to make income within about, let's say, the minimum, 120, 130 days. And then they have to wait till the next year. So we have to take concise effort, intentional effort towards increasing the productivity of these farmers. When we're able to do that, it means that we're able to increase their income, which would also mean that they now have the financial strength to acquire technology.
Okay. There's this conversation when this administration came on board about how to take advantage of dry season farming. And you talked about the cost of technology now that is actually affecting a lot of farmers. But what alternative aids available out there for farmers in this country?
Okay, so Incidentally, when you talk about alternative farming, you're talking about farming processes that sort of deviate from the conventional farming approach that we know. And then this alternative farming literally focuses more on sustainability, innovation, and perhaps the use of resources that are less harmful to our environment. Now, let's look at types of alternative farming that we have. Organic farming is one, hydroponics, which you've mentioned, and aquaponics. There's vertical farming, and then there's, what we call permaculture.
But why are we not taking advantage of all this?
Yeah, so, there's a cost factor to it. I mean, if the farmers were making enough, I believe that by now we would have had farmers cultivating more than
How do we address the
hectare.
Cost factor?
So we first and foremost we have to look at, now if you look at, let me go down to our financial system a little bit. Our financial system does not accommodate the behavioral pattern of smallholder farmers. Why? Because most credit financing that are out there are literally expecting you to pay back monthly. Now, farmers have about 3 months to 4 months before they start making an income. So that completely excludes them from the financial system. If we can design products and services or have the central bank play a role in making sure that farmers or credit financing for farmers is exempted from the MPR, then we can make a step in the right direction where financial institutions can now come in. But right now it's not viable for financial institutions to bring in lenders' funds. Or depositors' funds, and lend it to smallholder farmers. So we have to look at, we have to overhaul how we finance smallholder farmers or how we finance agriculture. And when we look at that holistically, then it means that we're taking the right step towards driving inclusion for smallholder farmers.
Now, given the current concerns over food insufficiency and rising food prices, how effective can Agric-Tech be addressing these challenges?
Okay, so there are quite a number of Agric-Tech companies that are playing within this space at the moment. They might not be that popular because, the sector is it's a green environment, so there's quite a lot to do. Some of them are already providing some kind of financing to smallholder farmers because, the moment you step into that space, to start working with smallholder farmers. Let's say, for example, I bring a farm management software to farmers, and then I realize that they cannot pay for these services. It's natural for me to want to embed financing into it. So these are some of the efforts that Agric-Tech startups are already playing in that space. But looking at advanced technologies that would have taken us a step further, it is pricey, it is expensive, so those kind of services might not be readily available for smallholder farmers now. However, I think that what we should be talking about should be, the low-hanging fruits in the agricultural sector. There are people who are cultivating about, let's say, more than a hectare, 5 hectares, 10 hectares. That is the low-hanging fruit, and those are the people that we can easily drive production up and then bring in issues like mechanization, because right now Nigeria has one of the lowest horsepower per hectare, so.
So how do we actually, we've seen in the financial sector where, access to capital becomes somehow, over time, it has been restructured to a particular level, like the micro to the micro level. How do we also structure that of issues in the agri, like you said, it comes with a cost and things like that. How do we make it in such a way that farmers can easily access these services and get the best out of their little investment?
Okay, so you spoke about micro SME loans for businesses,
yes,
or
mom and pop stores. You said yourself that a lot of our farmers are
excluded from that, yes, and they are excluded from these financing packages in the sense that, when I start cultivating my farm, let's look at it practically, I start expending funds, till about the 3rd month, I'm still spending money. Nothing is coming in. In the 4th 4th month, money starts coming in. Now, if you're expecting me to start paying that facility from the 1st month, that's a challenge. It's not possible. So automatically, we've excluded this class of people. So unless we redesign this product to be able to take into account this peculiar nature or behavior of smallholder farmers, to say that, okay, you're going to access this facility, but you will not start paying until the 4th month when you start harvesting your commodity, smallholder farmers will not be able to access some of this finance.
Now, the federal government is distributing fertilizer. Does this suggest that traditional fertilizers alone are insufficient for achieving optimal agricultural outcomes?
Well, the federal government is doing its own bit to support smallholder farmers by providing them fertilizers. But I'll tell you this, the question would be, is that enough? No, it's not. Why? Because there are other factors of production that we should look into. I mean, for example, access to certified seeds. How many farmers can buy certified seeds? If I can buy certified seeds, can I also buy synthetic chemicals, pesticides and the rest of them? So these are questions, of course, 2 bags of fertilizer, 3 bags of fertilizer would go a long way, but we need to look at a holistic plan. If the government is subsidizing agriculture by giving 2 bags of fertilizer, for example, why not do this in partnership with financial institutions that are willing to finance other aspects of the economic of production? For example, provide farmers seeds. Look at other partners that are willing to come. It has to be a concise effort of all stakeholders towards driving production. The whole goal should be that we are able to grow the smallholder farmers from cultivating 0.5 hectare or 1 hectare to about 5 hectares. Interestingly, the international definition of smallholder farmer starts from 10 hectares below. But in Nigeria, we say 5 hectares. But if you look at it holistically, only few farmers can actually boast of cultivating about 5 hectares. And I'm saying this from data that I'm privy to.
Okay, do you think, just briefly, I understand that 12 you've run out of time, but just briefly, do you think this is the answer to addressing Nigeria's food insufficiency, or rather food insecurity?
Well, it's one of the efforts, but it is not a holistic answer to the problems. Let me just say something here. If you look at 0.5 hectare to 1 hectare, what is the reality about a smallholder farmer being able to use a tractor on that farm? Maybe we're looking at the wrong approach towards driving mechanization. Maybe we should look at smaller machines, modular machines that can help farmers to be able to cultivate those 0.5 hectare. Maybe we should look at, integrating other things into, the whole solution of us getting farmers out of this situation and then driving food production forward. But yes, the government is making a concise effort, and I believe that it's going to take much more than that. It's going to involve a lot of stakeholders towards, driving the agricultural sector forward.
Well, Mr. Bawa, it's a pleasure having you on the program, and I look forward to actually conversing with you more on this